The notice requirement provided for the open public meeting law has been satisfied. Notice was properly given. Said notice having been transmitted to the Courier News on January 12th, 2022, as well as posting on the city's website. Mr. Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Council members Briggs Jones.
Present.
Councilwoman Davis.
Present.
Councilman Hockaday.
Present.
Councilman McKenna.
Present.
Councilman Ransom.
Present.
Vice President McCray.
Present.
Council President Good.
Present.
We have all members present and a quorum.
May I have a motion to approve the following minutes as presented? Those minutes being the combined session on January 18th, 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move to a discussion item in which we have a brief presentation from our special guest tonight, Nicole Dorado from the Union County Board of Elections, to explain the recent redistricting of Plainfield. Ms. Dorado, thank you so much for being here. You have the floor. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. I hope you are all well this evening. So pursuant to federal statutes and state statutes, it is incumbent upon our office and the ward commissions of each municipality which have wards to meet every 10 years following the census, once the census numbers are promulgated by the governor's office. So if I may share my screen, is that okay?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. So based on the census numbers that came out of the 2020 census, of the 4 wards in Plainfield, Ward 1 was no longer in compliance based on the new population. So the way that number is calculated is that it takes into account the population of each of the 4 wards and then divides by 4. So your total population is 54,873. So the average population is 13,718 per town. I'm sorry, per ward. So then what happens is that we calculate by statute a 10% mean from the mean population. So we go 5% up and 5% down. And that gives us a range, a proposed range within which the numbers for the new wards would have to fall. So if you see in the first chart here, we have on the high end, Ward 1, right? 13,032 is our minimum population and 14,404 is our high population. And in Ward 1, we're at 14,614. So we had to remove, if you will, a part of Ward 1 to bring that ward into compliance. So what we did right here, this little part of Ward 1 was moved into Ward 3. Can everybody see that okay? So this little part, and this encompasses, I believe, 2 census blocks. And that's how everything, when we do the wards, rewarding is calculated. It's based on population, right? So rewarding is based on population, redistricting is based on voter turnout. So this has absolutely nothing to do with voters right now. It encompasses population. So our youngest future voters to, our oldest persons in town, it's all encompassing whether they are registered or not. So what we see, these streets down here in these ranges, are the streets that were moved from Ward 1 into Ward 3. So it was a little part of the first ward that was moved into the third ward. So that is the new map that I just showed you. That is what was approved by the Ward Commission, which brings all of the wards now into compliance with the minimum, between the minimum and the maximum population totals within each ward. So now the Board of Elections is charged with redistricting the third ward to make sure that all of the districts have voters, the voting population of each of the districts are evenly distributed throughout the ward, if that makes sense. So that's the process that we go into now. That is a process that is exclusively that of the Board of Elections. The rewarding is done by the Rewarding Commission, which includes the Board of Election Commissioners and your municipal clerk. So that phase has ended. The board approved, the Ward Commission approved the new map with this minor change here. And we are now going through the process of redistricting. By statute, the redistricting needs to be completed by March 24th. I'm hopeful we'll have it done before then. And I'd be very happy to entertain any questions.
Council colleagues, does anyone have any questions for Ms. Dorado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis, you have the floor.
So when would this change take effect? So when would the voters in Ward 1 stop voting in Ward 1 and now vote in Ward 3?
In this primary election. So the map basically went into effect once it was certified. It was certified on January 12th by the Ward Commission. Once the redistricting has been completed, our office prior to Election Day will notify all the effective voters and residents of the change. In addition, the new information as well as their polling location, in addition to the mailing that my office will do, will be included on their sample ballots.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Mr. President,
Mr. Mayor?
yes, I don't have a question. I have a comment. The slide prior to this one, Nicole, shows the zip code of 07069. It should be 07060.
Thank you, sir. I'll make sure
You're
that's updated. My
Okay.
apologies.
Not a problem.
If there are no more questions for Ms. Dorado, we would like to thank you for joining us this evening and supplying us with that information. So glad
Thank
you
you.
could be here tonight. Thank you so
for
much.
having me.
And we
Have a good night.
appreciate you. Have a good night. Moving forward, we're going to have consideration of public hearing on the second reading and final passage. Clerk, please read MC 2022-01. Title and further certify that the ordinance has complied with all statutory publication requirements at this time.
MC 2022-01 is an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 16 Vehicles and Traffic, Article 7 Through Streets, Stop Intersections, Stop and Yield Intersections, designating certain four-way stop intersections. It is hereby certified that notice of the public hearing on this ordinance was published on January 28th, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The floor is now open to any member of the public who would like to speak on this ordinance. Are there any at this time?
There is one hand raised.
Ms. Romeo, Mr.
Romeo.
or
Hi.
Ms. Romeo, I apologize.
That's
You have
okay.
Thank you for joining us. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Zanira Romero. It's an easy mistake, no worries. I'm at 1216 Watchung Avenue. I just wanted to comment if this is in reference to the four-way stop in Kensington, between Kensington and Hillside on Watchung. Is that correct? it's a question, and if it is in fact that stop, I just wanted to give you my thanks for expediting this, putting up the signs, you know, highlighting that it is coming, and I do think that it has made a difference. I've also noticed there's a lot of patrolling that's been happening, so my gratitude to you all for really listening, and you know, it makes my heart swell with gratitude for doing this. So thank you so much. I think together we can definitely make this Plainfield a beautiful, beautiful town and get more, you know, more love for it. The mayor's doing a great job with that. And by listening to your residents, I can't thank you enough. So that's really it, just gushing with gratitude. And I hope it continues. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Romero, for your comments. Is there anyone else? If there isn't anyone else, may I have a motion to close public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Mr. Director Abney, would you like to answer that question before we move forward?
Yes, sir, I will.
Or make a comment, sir.
Yes, that is pertaining to the four-way stop sign regarding Watchung Avenue. We were just moving forward with it and we wanted to take care of it as soon as possible.
Thank you so much, Director. Mr. Clerk, we don't need a roll call, do we?
Yes, we need a roll call on all.
Okay, can we have a roll call, please, on that ordinance?
You need a motion and a second.
I believe we already have one.
Second.
All in favor?
No. Roll call.
Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Yes.
McKenna,
Yes.
Mills Ransom,
Yes.
Vice President McCray,
Yes.
Council President Good.
Yes.
Ordinance has been adopted on second reading and through passage.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Now we move to public comments, limited to resolutions and motions and ordinances to be introduced on the first reading. A total of 30 minutes has been allocated for public comments, limiting to resolutions and ordinances being considered this evening. If you wish to be heard, please hit the hand icon to be recognized and you will be unmuted. Once you have been unmuted, please give your name and address for the record. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. I repeat, each speaker will be given 3 minutes. The floor is now open. Speaker will be given, again, 3 minutes. Is there anyone?
No one has their hand raised.
Motion to
Motion
close.
to move to close public comment?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Council colleagues, are there any questions on resolutions R 087-22 through R 090-22? If not, may I have a motion to approve?
You want to do them in a group?
As a group.
You need a motion.
Do I have
So
a motion
moved.
to, thank
Moved.
you. Mr. McKenna, would you like to second that?
I will be happy to second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, any abstaining? The motion has been approved. Mr. Clerk, will you please proceed with the reading of the resolutions for this evening? Thank you.
Council President, you need to make a motion to accept those. You only move to do them as a block.
I apologize, council colleagues. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstaining? Motion carries.
Council President, if I may, moving forward, if
Yes.
Council President, if you desire to call a block of resolutions for one vote, you may just call them as a group and do not require a motion to do so. You simply just call them as a group and we can vote on them as such. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
I thought we clarified that last time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you so much. Mr. Clerk, will you proceed?
Resolution 9122, authorizing settlement in the matter of Garrett Johnson versus the city of Plainfield.
I need a motion.
You got it.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries.
Resolution 9222, authorizing settlement in the matter of Russell Gottlieb versus the city of Plainfield.
Motion, please.
Motion.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Mr. Clerk?
Resolution 9322, declaring an emergency and the immediate authorization and action of ordinance MC 2022-01.
Council President, can I just make a quick comment?
Councilman McKenna?
For the public that is interested, this resolution is what they call an estoppel waiver. So after the ordinance MC 2022-01, which is for the four-way stop on Watchung and Hillside, after this is passed, we just passed that ordinance, then the 30-day waiting period before it goes into effect is waived, and it will go into effect immediately.
I need a motion.
so
Moved.
moved.
Second.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Mr. Clerk?
Resolution 9422, approving the execution of a New Jersey library construction bond agreement.
Are there any questions? And do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Mr. Clerk?
So Resolution 95 appeared as a duplicate on the printed agenda. However, it is a resolution authorizing approval to cancel taxes due to a 100% disabled veteran exemption.
That being said, do we still need a motion, Mr. Clerk?
Yes.
Is there a motion, please?
so moved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Mr. Clerk?
Resolution 9622, authorizing a one-year renewal for Packet Talk camera maintenance.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries.
Resolution 9722, authorizing the award of professional services contract with the Panoni Associates.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Second,
All in favor?
aye,
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
No.
Motion. Mr. Clerk, can we have roll call, please, on resolution 097-22?
Roll call on Resolution 9722. Council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Yes.
Kenna,
No.
Mills Ransom,
Yes.
Vice President McCray,
yes,
Council President Good.
Yes.
In favor, one opposed, resolution's been adopted. Resolution 9822, authorizing the purchase and installation of a 2-camera stationary system.
I need a motion.
Moved.
Quick question, Council President.
Mm.
Just,
Go right ahead.
just a clarification. One, I guess what, not a clarification, but to just point out for residents that this expense is 100% covered by insurance. And two, I was confused in the resolution. Are we repairing or replacing? Because it kept using those terms kind of interchangeably.
If I may jump in, we are
Go right
replacing
ahead,
a
Director.
camera that was torn down and destroyed in a traffic accident at that intersection.
Okay, so
That's West Front Point.
it's a full replacement.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Director.
Welcome.
Any more questions? Do we have a motion?
It
Motion.
was moved. Didn't I move?
Seconded.
Seconded.
I apologize. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstaining? Motion carries. Mr. Clerk, move to R 099-22, please.
Resolution 9922, authorizing the award of a professional services contract to Benoni Associates.
Moved.
That's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Mr. Clerk?
Resolution 122, in support of a cannabis retail business by Plant-Based LLC.
Council President, can I move that we vote on R 100-22 through R 102-22, since they're all the same topic?
Is there a
Council,
second?
Council President, if I may,
Go ahead,
I'd like to
Director.
withdraw, I would like to withdraw Resolution 101-22. We will resubmit it in March.
No problem. R 101-22 is withdrawn.
Point of
Thank
order,
you.
is there a motion to withdraw an item from the agenda, Mr. Corporation Counsel?
That is correct, Councilwoman.
May I have a motion to remove
So
101?
moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed, any abstaining? 101-22 has been removed from our agenda this evening.
Council President, then just
I-
modify
Go
the
ahead.
vote in a block 100-22 to 102-22.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstaining? Motion carries. Are there any questions on those resolutions
That we voted for?
that we, I apologize, I'm sorry. Mr. Clerk, will you please move to 103-22, please?
Resolution 10322, authorizing and directing the planning board to conduct an area in need of redevelopment for 200 through 216 Garfield Avenue.
Are there any questions, and do we have a motion?
So move.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstaining? Motion carries.
Resolution 422, designating certain properties identified as 1030, 1108 Plainfield Avenue as a condemnation redevelopment area.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion?
I have a
So
question.
move.
I believe
Second.
Councilwoman Davis said she had a question.
Yes, we're on R 104-22, correct?
Correct.
It says non-condemnation redevelopment, but the clerk said condemnation, so is it non-condemnation?
It's non-condemnation, I apologize.
Thank you.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries.
Resolution 10522, adopting the calendar year 2022 operating budget for the Central Business District Corporation.
Are there any,
Council President, I have a comment.
You have to move in second, right?
can I have a second?
Second.
Is there a, okay. Mr. McKenna?
Yes, I don't know if my colleagues noticed, but we're approving a sizable budget, and there was no budget attached to it. And I did send an email to the clerk's office asking for the budget, which should be a detailed budget for the SID. And I didn't get it, so I'm not going to vote for something that's just a dollar amount versus the detail.
Clarification.
Excuse me, Director Jackson, I believe there was an email sent out.
Mhm.
Okay.
That I saw.
There was a correspondence sent from Director Jackson.
That was for 108-22. I don't have an email from Director Jackson.
Okay, so the clarification, the budget along with the certification from the tax assessor was submitted with the resolution. I don't know,
Not on the system.
it's not, it didn't show up in the system.
No,
Okay.
just the resolution, which is just
Okay.
a single
Uh,
page and a quarter.
I will send that out again, but it was submitted into the system associated with the budget. So there should have been the cover letter, the resolution, the budget, the certification from the tax assessor about who resides in the SID area, who the property owners are. So I'll resend it, but it was submitted.
I don't know how the governing body can vote on a budget without that information.
Clerk, you don't have it in your system?
I don't have it in the system now, but the governing body is able to vote on it this evening.
Mr. President,
Governing body shouldn't vote on it. They don't have the
Mr. Mayor,
budget.
your comments,
Yeah.
please.
I would like Director Jackson to clarify or to explain how the SID budget works. I believe no tax-paying dollars are involved, and that the budget of the SID is based on an assessment to the member businesses, and therefore it's their own money that they're spending. Is that correct, Director Jackson?
Yes, Mayor, that is correct. And I would go further to say that the SID did have a general meeting of its membership prior to this budget. The membership voted to send this budget to council. And it does reflect an increase over 2021, which the SID general membership approved. So this SID budget was presented, and I'm not sure why the budget.
Let me just clarify that the SID funds come from an assessment on buildings within the SID, which is
Right.
essentially a tax on the property owners within the SID.
Right.
So it does come from taxpayer money. It's just a different way of getting the taxpayer money. But we also, in spite of the fact that the SID board approved this, we are responsible for reviewing the budget and being able to ask questions about the budget. And I can't ask questions about a budget when it's just a dollar sign.
I have no problem resubmitting this budget in March. I do want to clarify that it wasn't the SID board. It was the SID property owners who voted
All of them?
for this budget. They were all issued a notice. There were a number of attendees via Zoom, which is the process. And that process meant that these property owners voted to approve this budget for the SID. But
Okay.
again, I have no problem resubmitting it since the attachments were not included. But the property owners themselves voted for a property tax increase on their
And-
assessment.
And Mr. President,
Mr. Mayor, one second. With that information, Director Jackson, do I have a motion for this, please?
I make a
Moved.
motion to withdraw it.
Second,
Okay, I moved to before.
All in favor?
Aye.
No?
aye. Do a roll.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Mr. Clerk, can you please give me a roll call on resolution 105-22?
Council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Davis,
No.
Hockaday. Councilman Hockaday,
Yes.
Councilman McKenna,
No.
Councilwoman Mills Ransom,
Yes.
Vice President McCray,
Yes,
Council President Good.
With the information that Director Jackson has supplied us, yes.
Five in favor, two opposed, resolution's been adopted.
And Mr. President,
Councilwoman
I
Mills
would just
Ransom?
like to say that, I have seen the budget, so I have no problem saying yes, because I am the council liaison to SID. And I think Mr. McKenna is the backup or the second, so.
This year. Yeah, as of 30 days ago.
Mr. President,
Mr. Mayor, I apologize for cutting you off. No disrespect, sir. I just was,
It's-
with that
it's okay.
information that Director Jackson had given us, I saw no reason to prolong.
now it's important for me to make the point
Okay,
that the assessment, the SID budget is a self-imposed tax and not a dime comes from the operating budget of the city of Plainfield. It's a tax
And
that they have agreed to amongst themselves.
thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Resolution 10622 designating 1014 South Avenue Urban Renewal LLC as redeveloper for the redevelopment of certain properties in the city of Plainfield.
Are there any questions? And I need a motion. If not,
I have
Moved.
one question.
Councilman McKenna?
This property, as it was mentioned in the documentation, and I looked at the site plans, which was nice that they were included. It's very rare that they're included with these. Demonstrated that they took the property that was on the, the western side of the property on Belvedere, and removed it. That was originally part of the plan, if I recall, that house that was there.
The property is all part of the redevelopment plan, yes.
Well, but they removed it from the plan. They were going to have more units, and then they were also going to rehab that home that's on Belvedere, and the fire department was going to have them have an easement as for fire access from Belvedere up to the unit.
They have an approved site plan by the planning board. I don't recall all of the details, but they have a site plan that's approved by the planning board. There is a house on a portion of the property, yes.
Okay, but according to these documents, that house is no longer part of the site plan, is what I'm asking.
No part of this particular project.
Okay, so, but it is planned for something?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I need a motion.
So moved.
Moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Mr. Clerk.
Resolution 10722 authorizing the request for urban renewal, for urban enterprise zone funding to continue marketing and promotion for the city of Plainfield.
Any questions? If not, do we have a motion?
Motion.
Council President.
Councilwoman Davis?
Director Jackson, if you can kind of discuss what these funds will be used for in terms of rebranding and promoting of the city. If you have any specific programs or stuff that you can speak to, that would be beneficial.
Okay, so we are going to do a rebranding of the city through Comcast commercials. We had previously suspended that. We'd like to reinstate Comcast commercials. We found them to be effective in marketing the city. We also plan to use a portion of the funds to do billboards along the railroad line, the Raritan Valley line, to promote downtown and the development that is going to occur in downtown Plainfield. So, and we will continue with the hashtag Love Plainfield campaign as well. But the bulk of the funds, about $80,000, will go to the commercials. A big chunk will also go to the billboards along the Raritan Valley line. We're being very successful in getting people to locate in the city of Plainfield in our new housing. And we really want to really promote and advertise downtown, which you will see those construction projects, groundbreakings occur in the spring.
Thank you. Is this being presented through economic development because it is the use of urban enterprise zone funds?
It is a combination of a joint discussion between myself and the Director of Communications about branding and promotion of the city. And it's being presented through through economic development because we are using urban enterprise zone funds.
Thank you very much.
Are there any more questions? Director Jackson, thank you, as always. That being said, is there a motion?
Okay, I moved before, and I think now we should discuss that. It's motion second and then discussion. So I think that anybody second, because I know we're anxious with some questions sometimes, but let's do the process correct.
Okay, Councilwoman Mills Ransom, does anyone else have a discussion that would they like to discuss about this particular resolution?
Yeah, I just have one comment. I think that
Mhm.
it's a significant amount of money that comes out of the UEZ. I think cable advertisement and billboards is right up there with putting it in a phone book. I don't know that we could say it's effective because we never get any reports on how effective it is, which a good marketing campaign would have a return on the investment. So I don't, this is just $125,000 going somewhere.
Thank you, Councilman McKenna. Any more discussion? I dare not move any further without.
She'll tell you if you go too far.
All in favor?
No,
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
no.
Mr. Clerk, can you please give me a roll call after our discussion on this particular resolution?
Council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Yes.
McKenna,
No.
Mills Ransom,
Yes.
Vice President McCray,
Yes.
Council President Good.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed, resolution's been adopted. And
Ms. Clerk?
Councilman, just to clarify, you can, after the resolution is read, you can ask for questions before the resolution,
Okay, if you want to do that.
or then you could ask for a motion. I'm sorry, you could ask for questions after the motion and second. You could do it either or, but once the motion has been made, all debate stops and you need a second, and then you can ask for questions. So it's your preference whether you want to do it before the motion or after the motion.
Thank you,
And I
Mr.
think
Clerk.
that's the discussion that we should have, Mr. Clerk, because several times the motion was made, the discussion came in before the second. So we just need to do things consistently.
I think the tendency is that everybody here just
Okay.
makes a motion and wants to vote and they don't have a pause. So if we just let the council president have a little brief pause and he can ask for the questions and then, or however the council president wants to do it, before or after.
Councilwoman Mills Ransom.
Want to do that? Can we just straighten this out?
Councilwoman Mills Ransom and Councilman McKenna, your comments are appreciated, and we will govern ourselves accordingly. How's that?
Okay, but I thought I heard.
I respectfully received.
Just for clarity, President, I thought I heard the clerk say, if the motion was on, then you should second before the questions. That's the only thing. I also heard him say you could have questions before that process, which I have no problem with. I'm just saying, if we're going to do a motion, then get the second before the questions.
Okay. So I think what we'll do is have questions first before we move and have a second. Okay, how's that? Are we in agreement?
Whatever you decide, that I can decide to deal with you, but I can't decide to mess up a process. Okay.
So, just so we can be clear about what the process is, because I agree with Councilwoman Mills Ransom that we need to be consistent in it. So is the process that you're going to take questions and then take a motion in a second, or you're going to take the motion in the second and then take questions? I just want to be clear.
Well, on this particular resolution, and I believe a few before that, I did say, are there any questions and do we have a motion? So I do know that. So moving forward, we will have questions and then we will move and second and move on. How's that?
Thank you. That sounds clear.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the comments from Councilwoman Mills Ransom as well as Councilman McKenna. Mr. Clerk, where are we?
108.
Resolution.
Okay. Okay. Are there any questions?
Designating 115 through 157 East 2nd Street Urban Renewal LLC as redeveloper for certain properties in the city of Plainfield.
Are there any questions?
Yes.
Go right ahead, Councilwoman Davis. I believe Councilman McKenna will follow you.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
So, based off of the redevelopment agreement, this looks like this is a city-owned parking lot. So I just have two questions. One, is there going to just be a building where that parking lot was? I'm trying to get a visual understanding of it. And secondly, in the redevelopment agreement, it says that the city is selling the lot for $400,000. Just what was the rationale, or how do we come to that number to say that that was a sufficient number to sell the lot for?
Okay. So a couple of things with this particular project. This is referred to as parking lot 6 on East 2nd Street. The project will be 4 stories over retail. Really, retail is on the ground floor, 2 levels of parking, and then residential units above that. We're talking about 92 residential units. We're talking 4,000 square feet of retail. We're talking 225 parking spaces, and 125 of those parking spaces would be made available to the city. As we looked at that, that replaces what's out there today, which is 76 parking spaces. So we will have more parking spaces tomorrow than we have today. So today, which I will go through again on the ordinance, is we get 68,000 on average in parking revenue. Tomorrow, we will get pilot revenue. We will get parking revenue. We will get $2 million to fund the pedestrian mall. And so those are the public benefits for this particular project. How did we derive at 400,000? We look at a couple of things. We look at appraised prices for these properties. We generally agree to 50% of the appraised value. And then we take other factors into consideration in terms of this particular project. The factors that we're taking into consideration is the city is getting a big bang. We're getting more parking revenue tomorrow than we are getting today, and we get the funds for the pedestrian mall.
Just a follow-up question. What's going to happen in terms of the parking spaces that are being utilized there now once construction begins? So the people who have permits in that lot, are we going to move into another lot? What are we going to do to really deal with the displacement of those parking spaces while construction is happening?
We will develop and create a full transition plan for parking, which will also probably include shuttling people to the lots that are available.
Okay, and just one last question. Do we have a timeline on when this project will begin?
Well, I would suspect that the project will begin during the 3rd or 4th quarter, assuming that we get approval tonight for the redevelopment agreement and the first reading of the pilot. Then they can move forward with going to the planning board for this particular project and getting that approval so that we can move forward in 3rd quarter.
Thank you.
Hey, Councilman McKenna, you had a comment or question?
Yes, some of mine have been answered, but I do have a couple here. So just a clarification, there's going to be no parking available in that spot based on their time frame in the packet from August 2022 to September 2023, 13 months.
13 months, yes.
Okay, so no parking revenue there either.
We will have parking revenue, but not at that particular property.
Let's see, section 404, the service charges area. There's a section that says, let's see, it should be 8% of annual gross revenue for 8 years, 2022 to 2030. It says for 5 years.
So you're talking about the schedule for the, are you in the analysis that was prepared by North NW?
No, the financial agreement.
That's the financial So you're in the
Yes.
financial agreement.
So section 404 just talks about the service charges, and it goes through the different segments. They're all 5-year groupings where the percentage of AGR goes up.
Yes.
So the last one is 8%, and it says 8% for 5 years, but it's 8 years.
Okay, so we would need to correct that on the record.
And then under C, in that same section, it says reporting and enforcement, which is on the affirmative action and local employment section. It references 1502, and 1502 is completely different. So you might want to take a look at that. I'm not sure that that's applicable. It's in C1.
C1.
Section 4C1. And then section 404 C4 has some pretty rough, I don't know what they are. They're not quite typos. They're
Okay.
They're words that are trying to
So
be.
we will look at that. Is McManaman Scotland on the line? If you are, would you raise your hand?
Looks like.
Okay, so I will make those corrections. Tiana,
There is
Tiana?
someone,
yes. Can we acknowledge Tiana?
yes. Tiana, you have the floor.
Hello. Yes. Hello. Good evening, everybody. Tiana
Good
Cafoni,
evening.
McManaman, Scotland and Bauman. How are you?
We're fine. Go right ahead. You have the floor.
So Tiana, Councilman McKenna is addressing a couple of typos in the financial agreement. I just want to make sure that you are hearing those and that we'll issue those corrections.
Yes, just to clarify, you're looking at the financial agreement. I'm just questioning because I don't see the section numbers that you're discussing in the financial agreement.
Let me just see if I think I still have it open, but
Is it because we're on the redevelopment agreement, but the financial
it's
agreement.
it's the redevelopment agreement. I'm sorry.
It's the redevelopment
Okay.
agreement.
I'm sorry. Okay. And can you,
I can tell you real quick. I'm almost there.
yep.
402, let's see, 404, calculation of annual service charges. When
That shouldn't
it's
be
section A,
That shouldn't be in the redevelopment agreement. I'm
Yeah,
not.
that's
You
not
must
in
be in the
redevelopment.
Hold
financial
on.
agreement.
and you know what, I'm looking at I'm looking at one of the other ones we're voting on.
Okay.
I was having trouble following. That's why I was questioning the sections.
Section. This is for the pilot. We can hit it when we go there if you want.
Okay. Yeah,
You
that
wanna
would
do
be in
that?
that financial agreement. Yes.
You want to do that then, or?
Yes, we'll
Okay.
do it then.
Oh,
go ahead.
go ahead. No, I'm sorry. I am
Are you done, Councilman McKenna?
done. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Jackson. Thank you, Ms. Cafoni.
Yes, thank you.
That being said, all the questions, do we have a motion?
Moved.
Second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Any opposed? Mr. Clerk, can I get a roll call, please, on 108-22?
Roll call on resolution 108-22, council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Yes.
McKenna,
No.
Mills Ransom,
Yes.
Vice President McCray,
Yes.
Council President Good.
Yes.
It's in favor, one opposed, resolution's been adopted. Resolution 109-22, amending resolution 314-19 to extend a professional services contract for the New Jersey Innovation Institute.
Are there any questions, council colleagues?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Director Jackson, is this the partnership we also have with Injectron and NJIT?
So this is the partnership that we currently have with NJIT, the city of Plainfield, and oh God, it's slipping my mind, the third leg of this. So, and with the developer for the property. Injectron was a property that originally kind of was involved with this particular project, and it has grown much more than just Injectron. So it is the whole West End industrial corridor. And Mike Vantersloos from NJIT either did a presentation last month or at the end of the year updating where we are. We have met with the state on several occasions at this point. And they have said that the three partners are great, but we want you to also secure a corporate partner. And so Mike and myself will be working to secure a corporate partner either through NJIT's relationship or through our state senators' relationships.
Okay, thank you for the reminder and clarification.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Director Jackson. With that being said, do we have a motion?
So
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Mr. Clerk, will you read 110-22?
Resolution 11022, authorizing the application to apply and accept the New Jersey Clean Energy Planning Grant.
Are there any questions? How can you argue with clean?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Mr. Clerk?
Resolution 11122, authorizing a professional service contract with Panoni Associates.
Are there any questions about 111-22? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Mr. Clerk?
Resolution 11322. I'm sorry, resolution
112.
Resolution 11222, authorizing approval to submit an application to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs legislative grant program for the purchase of electric vehicle charging stations.
Are there any questions?
Yes. What is the plan for where these might go, and how many do you get for 210,000?
That's a good question. Right now, we're looking under state contract. We're checking pricing now. We're checking pricing now on the charging stations, and they'll be placed behind in the City Hall parking lot right now at this time. Once we do get
None of the public lots.
not at this time, but we have some in the future. We're looking to place in different areas of the city. So.
And based on your rough pricing now, how many do you get for 210? I will hold you to it.
All right, yeah, who knows? Based on, see the different levels, Councilman. Based on one, you have the DC chargers that charge, superchargers, and you have somewhat different levels that may take overnight. So we're looking to do a combination of both, so we can have enough to cover some areas. We're going to have the additional funding for that, though.
All right. And we're not anticipating, and it says no cost to no financial impact to the city, but the resolution says to support the purchase. So I'm assuming we're going to probably have to install the electrical to it, et cetera. So there might be some costs down the road.
For the installation, correct, installation, yes.
Thank you.
Well,
President, I have a question.
Councilwoman Davis?
Director Dabney, you said that these charging stations will go in the back of City Hall. Do we already have electric vehicles that will be able to be charged there? Or just why are we choosing the back of City Hall to place these, and who would benefit from having them placed back there?
well, in time, the goal is to purchase more vehicles for the city of Plainfield, hybrid vehicles that are a combination of gas and electric. So that's the purpose of that. And it's going to take time to do this once we get the grant, to do the trenching work, et cetera. So that's the goal. But we're looking across the city as well to see where we can place them. If it's doable, we'll make that happen as well. So.
Director, I just want to let the councilwoman know that you'll see in our budget when we eventually come up with the budget, present the budget to you, that we are looking to go green with our vehicles that our inspectors use And so we're looking to, you probably are aware that a lot of those vehicles are on their last leg. We are looking to, when we replace them in a, in a hybrid way that would require the charging stations.
So this is just a proactive measure to have the charging stations there, and then we get the cars.
Ideally, the timing would be pretty close together. We're not going to get this money and these up and running, like that. So ideally there'll be, we have to have steps to get that in place and then steps to get the cars in place, but ideally they'll both come to the forefront together. Not, not the same day, but within a couple months.
Well, why didn't you just say that in the beginning? Thank you.
You're welcome.
So it is a form of proactivity, Director. I'm sorry, VA Levinson, correct?
Yeah, Our goal is to move towards electric vehicles, and
exactly.
So we need charging stations and vehicles. We have to put forth the charging stations today.
Exactly.
And the vehicles are coming. You're going to see that.
They're not too far behind. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Are there any more questions?
But thank you for reiterating my point, Council President.
You're welcome, Councilwoman Davis. I'm here to help you any way I can. Councilman Hockaday, who I know you're an advocate of
electric vehicles.
electric vehicles.
No, it's certainly the way to go. It's the wave of the future. And there's also significantly less maintenance on those vehicles, so that the city will have a much easier time maintaining their fleet once they convert to electric. And I just say it would encourage to go all electric rather than just hybrid. Hybrid still has some of the negatives of the internal combustion engines. So that's just my thought.
Actually, Councilman Hockaday, I thought you would have chimed in a little bit earlier than that, but that's okay. You did, nevertheless.
Follow-up question before we move forward. These new charging stations, are they taking up parking spaces in the City Hall parking lot? Have we figured out where they might go? Because I know that parking in the City Hall parking lot is sometimes limited and sometimes, non-existent, depending on what time you get to City Hall.
They'll be placed in various areas where the current cars are parked, our city vehicles.
So they will be taking up parking spaces.
Space, they will not be taken up. They'll be technically used eventually once we get the vehicles. So you'll be able to park there because the station will be set apart from where where the parking is. You can still park.
Okay, so you can still park there. So no
Yes.
space should be impacted.
No.
With it. Okay, thank you.
Do we have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. Mr. Clerk?
Resolution 11322, authorizing approval to submit an application to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs legislative grant program to support the development of a Plainfield Center of Excellence.
Council President, can I move to vote on R113-22 through R117-22 as a block?
Do I have a second?
I had questions before we did the motion. I thought we were taking.
Second.
You can still ask questions.
We can still ask questions, Councilwoman Davis, but we're Councilman McKenna said down to 117-22, correct?
Correct.
Yes. And there's a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. That being said, Councilwoman Davis, what is your question?
Yeah, so for R 113-22, can you explain what that grant is actually going to support? I know that it says that it's supporting a multifaceted recreational and educational complex, but also $110,000 is not a lot of money. So what exactly is that going to be used for?
It's going to be used for promotional items, etc. For the center that's coming, in some soft costs where we can.
And also just one point of information is that it's only one stream of funding for this center. Obviously, we know it's going to cost more than $110,000 to create. It's just one stream of funding, just as many streams as we can get.
Okay, so we're looking for multiple streams of funding, but yet we are going to use a grant to support promotional items for a building that's not built yet. I just want to be clear on like what exactly the funds are used for in terms of the educational recreational complex, because I know that this has been like a hot issue in the community. So for the public's benefit, and it wasn't really clear in the resolution, what exactly is this funding going to be used for? Is this like just a little bit of funding while we wait to get more funding on top to create till we have all the funding to build it out completely? Or is this for promotional items for something that's not built yet? So when do we plan on using the funding then for these promotional items?
Mr.
I
President.
believe that you did approve, and Director West, you can verify this, but I believe that we did have a tranche of money from our ARPA funds approved via resolution last month or so towards
Mr.
this
President.
project.
BA Levinson, 1
I'm
second,
sorry,
please.
Mayor, I didn't hear
Mr.
you.
Mayor? Mr. Mayor, you have a comment?
Mr. President, we are assembling funds for the purpose of constructing the Center of Excellence, which is a project that has been 5 years in the making, and we will access all resources. These grant funds will just be a portion of the amount that will go toward the capital cost of the Center of Excellence. And we are in the process of trying to determine what that center will cost. And we will come to the council at the appropriate time with a full plan in terms of the cost of the Center of Excellence, for which we would seek the council's support. And this is just one of a number of pieces of funding that will be needed to create the Center of Excellence.
Thank you, Mayor. That's all you had to say. Appreciate your explanation.
Any more questions? I believe it was moved and second that we combine, correct, Mr. Clerk? Down to 117. So all in favor of that?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. So I am entertaining a motion to approve.
Didn't we just do that?
We just said that.
We did that to combine them.
No, it's all
Okay.
one thing.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Mr. Clerk,
Yes,
please.
motion was to combine 113 through 117. It was moved and seconded. You asked for all in favor, and all were in favor. So declare.
Exactly.
Resolution 11822, authorizing approval to amend. 11822, authorizing approval to amend the Health Division sub-grant agreement with Proceeds Incorporated.
Are there any questions? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Now we're going to introduce ordinances on first reading. We now come to ordinances on first reading. Clerk, will you please read MC 2022-02 by title?
MC 2022-02 is an ordinance authorizing execution of a financial agreement with 115 through 157 East 2nd Street Urban Renewal LLC, and granting a tax exemption with respect to certain properties identified as Block 316, lots 22 through 24.
Are there any questions from the council? I will now entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance on first reading.
So move.
Council President, I
Second.
believe this is the one that has the edits. Am I correct, Director Jackson?
Director Jackson, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, Councilman McKenna, yes, you are correct. This is where you had some edits in the sections of the document. And I know Tiana Kafani is still here to note or either clarify. So
It's page 75. It's section 4.04, calculation of annual service charges.
mhm.
It is.
If I may, Councilman McKenna,
Yeah.
the financial agreement for this matter, 115, 157, doesn't have that kind of numbering. If you can just look at the very top of the document, I don't think it's 115, 157 East Second Street. It may be, we have two others that have that numbering, so it may be one of those.
Hold on. 115-157 East Second Street.
Okay, and it's number 4.03.
So you go through their application. And then at the bottom of it is the, hold on, let me find the header for that.
Oh, are you looking at the application or the
Application? Oh,
financial agreement?
I'm looking, well, I've got, it's in, I'll tell you what the header is.
Council President, can Councilman McKenna share his screen? Maybe it'll be more useful
I
because
can't actually share my screen because I don't use my city laptop for the Zoom because the cameras doesn't work. So
So can I just add a
Can I-
little clarification?
Director Jackson, go right ahead.
Yes, so what you have is before you, the ordinance and the financial agreement. One of the attachments is the pilot application. So we need to, so everyone has to fill out a pilot application. And that's requesting what they would like. That doesn't necessarily mean that the city is going to give it to them. We then negotiate from that application with them along with our financial consultants. So as part of your total package, it will be the actual financial agreement itself. And then one of the last documents is the application.
actually the first part is the application.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you know what, Valerie, if I may, I think
go
what you're
ahead.
looking at is oftentimes as part of the application, they attach a proposed financial agreement. You can't see me and I'm doing air quotes. You can't see me doing it. But so that's their form that they submitted to us, as opposed to, which should be a separate document, which is definitely a separate document from the application, our financial agreement that we proposed using our form, our numbering, everything else, and our terms and the terms that they've agreed to when we've fully negotiated. So oftentimes they'll submit like their first draft of a financial agreement attached to the application. That is not what we are proposing to approve.
Corporation Counsel, were you about to say something?
I think the question's been answered. Thank you, Council
Okay.
President.
Okay. That being said, I'm entertaining a
But
motion to adopt the
what-
ordinance on first reading.
One quick clarification here. If I look at the bottom of their proposed financial agreement, do they include all the signatories that would normally be involved?
Yes, they would include, yes, they would, I mean, it's not actually signed, but yes, it will have blanks for signatures and everything, yeah.
So if I'm looking at MC 2202 on the system and I see the pilot, and then I see the financial memo, which I'm just going to reopen it because I have too many tabs open.
Our financial agreement should precede the memo. Is that correct, Tiana?
I'm honestly not sure how it's listed on the system.
Okay.
Well, the
But there-
financial agreement is 6 pages. It's a draft.
I thought it was 5, 6.
The financial agreement is 26 pages.
What am I looking at there?
And it will actually say financial agreement at the top. So you have a memo, you have the ordinance. You have NW's financial analysis, that may be 6 pages.
So it's 26 pages. I got it right here.
Okay, 26 pages, that is probably the correct one then.
And you have annual service charge. Let me just double check here real quick.
Yep, if you want to scroll down to 4 point, hold on, I'm
2.
scrolling.
4.2.
Yep.
Thank you, Tiana. We appreciate you. I'm entertaining a
very
motion,
welcome.
please.
Oh, I see what you do. You change the wording so you break it out into points I through 1 through 5. Gotcha. Thank you.
Council members, entertaining a motion to adopt this ordinance on first reading.
Moved.
Is there a second? Mr. Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Davis,
No.
Hockaday,
Yes.
McKenna,
No, and I would have explained it if my time hadn't been taken away.
Mills Ransom,
yes,
Vice President McCray,
yes,
Council President Good.
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed, resolution has been adopted on first reading. MC 2022-03 is an ordinance of the city of Plainfield and the county of Union, authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with 1014 South Avenue Urban Renewal LLC, and granting a tax exemption with respect to certain properties identified on the city's tax map as Block 622, Lot 2, and identified on the city's tax record as 1008 through 1014 South Avenue, Plainfield, New Jersey.
Council colleagues, are there any questions at this moment for MC 2022-03? I will now entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance on first reading.
so move,
second,
Mr. Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Yes.
Kenna,
Sorry, I was on mute. I'm sorry, yes.
Mills Ransom,
yes,
Vice President McCray,
yes,
Council President Good.
Yes. Mr. Clerk, will you proceed with MC 2022-04?
MC 2022-03 has been adopted on first reading. MC 2022-04 is an ordinance of the city of Plainfield, the county of Union, granting a tax exemption and authorizing the execution of an agreement with 201 through 233 East Front Street Urban Renewal LLC, and granting a tax exemption with respect to certain properties identified as Block 318, Lot 14, and identified in the city's tax records as 201 through 233 East Front Street.
Council colleagues, are there any questions? Entertaining a motion to adopt this ordinance on first reading.
so move,
Is there a second? Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Yes.
McKenna,
Yes.
Mills Ransom,
yes,
Vice President McCray,
yes,
Council President Good.
Yes.
This ordinance has been adopted on first reading. MC 2022-05, an ordinance providing for exterior, interior capital improvements to the library, including the replacement of the roof in and by the city of Plainfield and the county of Union, state of New Jersey, reappropriating $71,040.56 in excess bonds proceeds from bond ordinance number 1255, not needed for the original purpose to finance the cost thereof.
Questions? Entertaining a motion to
Move.
adopt this ordinance on the first reading.
second,
It's been moved and
Move.
second. Mr. Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Yes. Yes.
Kenna, McKenna,
Yes.
Mills Ransom,
yes,
VP McCray,
yes,
Council President Good.
Yes.
Ordinance has been adopted on first reading. MC 2022-06, an ordinance amending bond ordinance number 1267, finally adopted by the City Council of the City of Plainfield, the County of Union, State of New Jersey on May 13th, 2019, to amend the description of the improvements referred to in section 3M therein.
Questions? Entertaining a motion to adopt this ordinance on the first reading.
so move,
Second.
Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Yes, that was moved by Councilman McCray, seconded by Councilman Davis. Roll call on MC 2022-06. Council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Yes.
McKenna,
Yes.
Mills Ransom,
yes,
Vice President McCray,
yes,
Council President Good.
Yes.
This ordinance has been adopted on first reading. MC 2022-07, an ordinance of the City of Plainfield, County of Union, New Jersey, adopting the Plainfield Avenue Educational District Redevelopment Plan dated January 20th, 2022.
And are there any questions? If not, I'm entertaining a motion to adopt this ordinance on the first reading.
Question,
I believe that was Councilman McKenna.
yes,
Go ahead, sir.
Seconded.
no.
It was moved in second, and now a question from Councilman McKenna.
What is the intent of the insertion in the redevelopment plan for single family housing? Everything is educational based, but there's permitted use for single family housing. Are they intending to subdivide?
No, the subdivision is only referring to the school itself. So the subdivision, the plan is to take a portion of the property and subdivide it for another school.
So why the addition of single family use as a permitted use?
Because that's what's also permitted in the area as well as part of the redevelopment plan. But the intent of the subdivision at this time is for the school.
But we didn't need to put single family in there. If we're doing a redevelopment plan, you can create the zone as you wish, right?
Yes, as we wish, but typically we put in what are all of the possible permitted uses. Yes.
It's been moved in second. Mr. Clerk, can I have a roll call, please, on MC 2022-7?
Second.
Roll call MC 2022-7, council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Yes.
McKenna,
Yes.
Mills Ransom,
Yes.
Vice President McCray,
Yes.
Council President Good.
Yes.
So ordinance has been adopted on first reading. Ordinance MC 2022-08 is ordinance to amend Chapter 16A-1 Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule 1, no parking time limit, the City of Plainfield Municipal Code, City of New Jersey, 1972.
Are there any questions?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes, so this ordinance is no parking for some streets, the entire length on one side of the street or the other side. Was there like a study done or any tangible data that shows us why no parking on one side is necessary?
No, there was no study done, but it was based on the length of the streets and also the width. They're very narrow streets, and for the health, safety, and welfare of the public, I thought it was in the best interest of us to do this and make sure it's parking on one side as opposed to the other, no parking on one side and the other side just alternate. And that was, I think, the best interest for snow plows, fire trucks, etc. These streets were pretty narrow. So it's in the best interest of the City of Plainfield, as just using Lafayette Street as one example. Very narrow street. We got many calls about it. So we just took a look at most of the streets throughout. We're talking about total 44 streets, out of 460 streets in the City of Plainfield. So this was, I think, for the better benefit of the City of Plainfield in terms of safety.
Also, has there been any conversation with residents in that area, or will they find out after the ordinance passed before it takes effect?
They'll find it as we move forward with everything with the two readings of his passed in the 20 days. And again, we'll send a personalized letter out to everyone, let them know that there's no parking inside between certain hours or one side at all, no time. So that'll be given to our residents. We'll make sure they're notified about that. But again, this was to the benefit of the city. Us riding around, and plus the last snowstorm we had as well, trying to get up and down streets we couldn't get into. And again, the last thing I want to see is a fire pump not be able to get down the street because of snow or anything else. And again, and also with the garbage trucks, we have a problem too with a lot of streets that they can't get down. So these streets is, I think, good for the City of Plainfield as a whole, from a safety standpoint.
Thank you.
Director Dabney, thank you for those comments. Thanks for the question. Also, Councilwoman Davis. I personally have received multiple emails and calls because emergency vehicles were not able to get in. I've witnessed in my course of driving from the east end to the west end, UPS, FedEx, coach vehicles to pick up those that are being transferred to receive medical help as far as dialysis and other things, other health issues. Even school buses have been letting children off on the corners because they know they can't get in and get out. So I think this particular ordinance will only enhance to help those that are on the job to get things done, make their commute a lot better. So I'm in full support of this, and I'm pretty sure my colleagues are as well. We are for safety and not having our residents at an inconvenient state. So that being said, are there any more questions? If not, I'm entertaining a motion to adopt this ordinance on the first reading.
I have a question. I have a question.
Go right ahead, Councilwoman Briggs Jones.
I know you were talking about the alternate street parking. My question is, in the future, I'm just wondering if we can do alternate street parking on certain other streets, so that way when the snowplow comes through, that they won't have any problems. Also, especially down here in this area where I'm at, it's very hard for the street sweepers to get through. And I noticed that, and I said, you know what, maybe that be something that we can entertain in the future, because if the street sweeper is coming through and the cars are out the way, they would just have to have some type of sign or something saying they need to move to the other side. And that way it'll be a lot cleaner down here on the west end.
And Councilwoman, that's a valid point, and that's why the next ordinance was for that purpose too. The hours are between 8 and 11, certain hours, so we can do street sweeping, etc. on the other side of the street. The cars have to be out in. I picked between hours of 8 and 11 a.m. because most of the time people are at work, so it's a little better than that 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. time frame that we had posted. So this will just change once this is adopted to show that. And as far as the alternate side of street parking, sometimes, I mean, it's a good point. The streets are wider because in major snowstorms, it's suspended, by law, they suspend the alternate side. So you'll have parking on both sides and still be tight to get down certain streets. And that's why we try to eliminate just one street, no parking at all, to make it happen. But yes, we're looking to everything, for street sweeping is real important. That was the purpose is too, so we can sweep both sides.
Thank you, Director.
Council President, I have a question.
Yes, Councilwoman Briggs Jones, were you done?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
Councilman
Director.
McKenna. Councilman McKenna.
Director Dabney, I don't have the resolution open, but how many streets are getting a time change to them? You off top of
It
your
was 44. That would be going like some are Tuesdays and Fridays, some are Mondays and Thursdays with the sweeping from 8 to 11.
So, but that's not really a street sweeping thing because we have more than 44 roads.
Well, this is just in that area. Yeah, this is just a portion of that. This is basically because of snow, emergency vehicles getting down, etc. But the alternate side, we want to make sure that that side is open at a certain time so we can sweep it a couple hours.
I mean, I think to Councilwoman Briggs Jones' point, and Councilwoman Davis has mentioned this for 2 years, is having the street sweeping schedules, which I believe last spring you were working on, so that there were scheduled street sweepings and people would not park during those times. Are we still doing that?
Yes, we are. We're still doing that. Yes, we are. And this would be like a small, like a pilot too with everything. In addition to, at the same time, these streets, because it's so narrow, that there'll be no parking on one side. But yes, that 8 a.m. to 11 is going to be for street sweeping itself. So the vehicles move between 8 and 11 on Tuesdays and Fridays on one side and Mondays and Thursdays on the other. And alternate side, we're going to try to do that citywide over time to make that happen for street sweeping total.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a follow-up question.
Councilwoman Davis.
So Director Dabney, you said that the 8 to 11 is going to be on alternate sides as well. So on Mondays and Fridays, you may be on one side of the street from 8 to 11. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you may be on the other side of the street from 8 to 11. Is that did I hear that correctly?
No. From 8 to 11, it can be up north side, south side, east to west, depends on where you live. Some streets are on Tuesdays and Fridays from 8 to 11, and other streets Monday and Thursday to 11. the same streets you have here, but different days they'll be swept on that one side. The other side is no parking anytime on one side.
Okay, so I think I'm hearing what you're saying correctly. So in the actual ordinance, there's one street and it says Monday through Thursday, and then it says 8 to 11. So is that Monday through Thursday for all the streets?
No, it's Monday and Thursday, not Monday through Thursday. Monday and
Okay,
Thursday.
so Monday and Thursday.
Mhm.
And is that for all the streets listed there, or is that for just like that one street? So for example, it says Orchard Place, South, entire length, Monday and Thursday.
Right.
And underneath it, there are, it says 8 to 11, but it's still, but it says like Liberty Street West, West Second to West Front, 8 to 11. Is that still saying Monday and Thursday, or is
Yes,
it just 8
It's
to
Monday,
11?
Monday and Thursday, 8 to 11, right.
Okay.
And that's what the signs are gonna be posted that way, Monday and Thursday, 8 to 11. Some streets gonna be Tuesday and Friday, 8 to 11 in that list.
Okay, I just think the list isn't very clear about that, but now that you're explaining it, thank you.
Okay, I'm just trying to see what you're missing. Okay, no problem.
Director Dabney, is it possible for us to get that list?
I thought the
If
list
it-
was attached.
I'm saying, is everything on that list?
Yes, it should have been, it should be attached to the ordinance, yes.
Okay, all right. That being said, I entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance on the first reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Clerk?
Moved by Councilwoman Mills Ransom, seconded by Councilman McCray. Roll call on MC 2022-08. Council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Davis,
No.
Hockaday,
Yes.
McKenna,
Yes.
Mills Ransom,
Yes.
Vice President McCray,
Yes.
Council President Good.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed. This ordinance has been adopted on first reading. Now come to ordinance MC 2022-09, an ordinance to amend chapter 16A-2 Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule 2, no parking certain hours under the Municipal Code of the City of Plainfield, New Jersey, 1972.
Are there any questions? Entertaining a motion to adopt this ordinance on first reading.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Clerk?
Moved by Councilman McCray, seconded by Councilman Hockaday. Roll call on MC 2022-09. Council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Yes.
McKenna,
Yes.
Mills Ransom,
Yes.
Vice President McCray,
Yes.
Council President Good.
Yes.
That is unanimous. This ordinance has been adopted on first reading, Council President.
Thank you, council colleagues. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. A total of 60 minutes have been allocated for all public comments to be presented. Each speaker will be allotted 5 minutes. If you wish to be heard, please hit the hand icon to be recognized and you will be unmuted. Once unmuted, please give your name and address for the record. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. The floor is now open. Mrs. Burwinkle, good evening.
Hi,
Your
how
name
are
and
you?
address for the, I'm fine, thank you. Name and address for the record. Happy New Year.
Hi. Happy New Year to you too. This is Mary Burwinkle, 1785 Sleepy Hollow Lane, and I have 2 comments. First of all, I've always agreed with giving people pilots. I mean, I worked in the banking industry doing real estate lending, and I understood this. However, it just seems to me that we're getting it's at the point where, like, you know, the city seems to be a really hot area to develop, and still everybody's getting a financial agreement and a pilot. And I would really like to see, and I hope someone asks for, like, a report on how we're doing financially with these pilots as compared to before, and when they run off and when we really get the regular taxes that the rest of us people who aren't getting a financial agreement have to pay in Plainfield. So that's one comment. My other one is on this parking thing at lot 6 and the pedestrian mall, which I've made my feelings clear about many times at this meeting. But I just think that, the loss of parking is going to make things very inconvenient for a long time. For instance, I have to go on a regular basis to check a nonprofit post office box at the main Watchung post office. And I can use some exercise, and I'll admit to that, but I'm getting a lot of exercise because there's nowhere to park there. You can't park there, it's just impossible. And if you're on North Avenue, if you live on North Avenue, if you have a kid that wants to have a birthday party, or you want to have friends over, where do they park? Like, what is regular life like when there's nowhere to park? And lot 6 is also gone. And I hate to say that I'm jaded about lot 6, but it sounds to me with the numbers of tenants who are going to be there, that those people are going to pay whatever the city charges to park their second car there, because I didn't read the redevelopment thing, but it's probably 0.8 cars per unit, which is ridiculous because nobody has 0.8 of a car. So, this just seems to me to be, there's no, people need cars. There's no big box grocery store in Plainfield. There's a lot of little ones, but there's no big box grocery store. Development is not giving people amenities in that area. There's so what do? How do you get your groceries developed? And where do they park when they want to deliver them? So anyway, I thank you for the good development, and I'm worried about the bad development. Thank you.
Mrs. Barwinkle, thank you for your comments. Mrs. Anderson, good evening. Thank you for calling in. Your name and address for the record.
Good evening. This is Miss Anderson. It's Leslie.
I'm so sorry, Leslie. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. 136 Reeve Terrace in Plainfield, New Jersey. First, I want to thank the council and the mayor for their expression of condolences in the loss of my sister. I truly appreciate the level of support that I've received throughout the city of Plainfield, and I want to say thank you. I want to speak to the ordinance that is being proposed by the Public Works Department to eliminate parking on one side of Reeve Terrace. As the only person on this call that lives on Reeve Terrace, one, I'm concerned that the residents on Reeve Terrace were not notified that this was even a possibility. I'm not sure how something like this could move forward, and you as members of the council could allow it to move forward without notifying the people that live on this street that there's a potential that they will lose parking. The second point that I would like to make is that losing parking on this street will have a detrimental impact on our quality of life. As someone that just had a number of people in her home, if people were not allowed to park on both sides of my street when they were visiting, I am not certain where they would have been able to park. And that's a part of the quality of life that I enjoy living on a street like Reeve Terrace. I also want to point out that Reeve Terrace is not a narrow street. The rescue squad visited my street several times during my sister's illness, as well as my mother's illness, and they had absolutely no difficulty in making their way into my home, nor are my packages delivered from Amazon or UPS have difficulty getting down the street. I think more effort should be made on the Department of Public Works to produce a schedule of when street sweeping is going to happen. And if we didn't find out that the street sweeper was coming when it came, we might actually move our cars to alternate sides in order to be able to deal with that. The last with snow removal, the snow plow doesn't get to the curb. There are times when everyone moves their cars off the street and the snow plow still goes down the middle of the street. So I'm not certain how we arrived at the streets. And there could be streets that are more narrow than Reeve Terrace, but it's going to have a detrimental impact on the quality of life. Well, not only Reeve, but Reeve, Hillcrest, and all of the short streets that are here. And since none of you actually live on the street, and I don't believe a study was completed, I would encourage you to spend more time looking into the impact that it's going to have on the people that live here. Since many of you do not live on these streets, to take time to have consideration to the impact on the residents and not just on the anonymous city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson, for your comments. Are there any more comments from the public?
Yes, hello.
Ms. Kuntz, good evening. Your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, good evening. Sharice Kuntz, 141 McKinley Place in Plainfield. I'd first just like to address the council on the ordinance MC 2022-08, and that is the with the parking on the one side. That was actually changed on McKinley Place, I want to say about 3 or 4 years ago, and it works out fine, except that it's not always enforced. So, it's fine when we have the parking on one side of the street. However, if there is not continued enforcement, then the other side where folks are not supposed to park becomes an issue. And many of you know McKinley Place, because I know, I know many of you do know McKinley Place. It's a short little dead end street. And we've had instances where the ambulance couldn't get down the street. And it's because there was a car parked on the other side and there's no enforcement. So I just want to say, if you're planning to have parking on one side of the street, please make sure that your public works department, or not public works, public safety department is geared up to enforce that parking. Because if they're not enforcing it, it doesn't make any sense to have the ordinance. The second thing I'd like to mention is I talked with the council and Councilman Good, I know that you did address this, the parking lot at Pete's Fish Market. Not sure if there's been any additional attempts to get the property owner there to fix that parking lot, but it's still a mess. And I know, I did speak with the owner of Pete's Fish Market, and he said that, some folks from the city were there, but it seems that nothing is still done in that parking lot. And I would really appreciate it if you guys could take a look at that again. And that's all I have to say. You guys have a great evening. And, thank you for hearing my concerns.
Thank you, Ms. Kuntz. Because we have discussed it, I will be following up with you on that and that situation. Anyone else?
Yes, Nancy Pivar, 1129 Myrtle Avenue. Thank you, council people, for allowing me to speak. I just have two. Good evening. I have two concerns or informational items that I want to bring to the city's attention because they're going to impact citizens down the road, year, 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now. First is that the Greenbrick Flood Control Commission just got money from one of these projects in the federal government. And it would behoove the city to make sure that a representative from the city is always on the Greenbrick Flood Control Commission meetings to ensure that the citizens know what's going to be happening in the future with the Army Corps of Engineers, with the Greenbrick and the Stony Brook. I remember many years ago when they first issued the floodplain maps, and I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, but my father at the time was very concerned that they were going to think about putting levees in the area where I live. He grew up in Ohio and was not a fan of levees, and the initial proposal is that there's going to be some levees and we need to be aware of what's going on so the citizens are noticed and know about it. And it could change, so we have to keep aware of it, and whoever is our representative on that commission needs to bring back information to the citizens. Also, this week I got a notice that the NJEDA, Economic Development Authority, issued their list of food deserts. Plainfield went up on the list from, I think it was 44, we're now number 26. I'm very concerned about that because the initial map, I didn't believe that they mapped it correctly. I know that the food supermarket that I used is now closed. It's one of the closest ones to my residence. It was outside of the county. It was in Middlesex, and it's now closed. This is going to be a problem. They will be giving incentives, so I hope economic development will encourage any big supermarkets that they can get incentives, especially if we're number 26 on the list. And perhaps maybe a big market will come in. I also encourage the city to encourage some of these supermarkets, the big box stores that are allowing deliveries in the city and are not shutting us out because of where we live. There is one in particular that does come to my house during COVID, and I appreciate it. It also can help some of the other senior citizens that they get some kind of incentives for delivery fees so that they can help us get some kind of cost discounts on the delivery fees that these big box stores do. They do hire local employees, because I have had Plainfield residents deliver to my house, and I appreciate it. And that's why I continue to use this big box store, because they do hire minority and Plainfield residents. So I just want to make the city aware of these two concerns and that we have to stay on top of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Piwar. We appreciate you calling in and your comments. Is there anyone else? Ms.
Yes,
Montfort, thank you for calling. Your
yes.
name and
Good
address for the
evening,
record, please.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Kim Munford, 1345 East 2nd Street. I live a short distance from Reed Terrace, and I would like to give support to Ms. Anderson, I believe, and all that she articulated about the situation that could occur on Reed Terrace. I would also like to add to that, if I may, that to eliminate both sides of the parking, whoever is not able to park on the street is going to have a domino effect on the streets that cross, like 2nd Street or maybe Front Street. I'm not sure where the resident may live or what type of event or the number of cars in their family. But if there is some congestion that develops as a result of single side parking, that congestion is going to spill over and impact those in the surrounding area. I just want to add that, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Montfort. We appreciate your comments. Who's next, please? Mr. Morgan. Thank you for calling. Your name and address for the record, please.
Darrell Morgan, 943 Hillside Avenue, Plainfield, New Jersey 07060. I just want to say a few things. One, they mentioned that the parking issue, that they'll inform the residents afterwards. I mean, why weren't they included in the planning of this so they can get their input and what would work best for their communities? Secondly, we've done a lot of development on the south side over here where I'm at, South Avenue. Why don't we allow this to work and prosper so we can get market value for the rest of the lots that's available, instead of having to give out pilot programs from this point on? If those buildings right there by the DPW turn out to be a good success and, everybody's moving in and all of that, now we don't have to do pilot programs no more. They're coming to us with money and incentives to build in our town versus us giving them tax breaks. We don't have to give them no breaks no more. You know what I mean? But if we continue to just keep building, we're giving away land and we're giving away opportunity, we're giving away money for absolutely nothing, because we haven't allowed this stuff that's already up to, show people that, look, this is, we built enough for people to know, to show them that this works here in Plainfield. We don't have to keep doing, we need to pause and let them come to us at this point. So that's my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan, for your comments. We appreciate it. Are there any more? motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you, cabinet members. Thank you, council colleagues, for your input for this entire meeting. Thank you, Mr. Clerk, and to your deputy clerk, and to the IT department. That being said, do I have a motion to adjourn for this evening?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? We are adjourned for the evening. Thank you.
Okay.